Then we asked a question about, this is sort of a, we get asked by reporters so many times, and actually audiences, you know, what's the hot new next thing? It's often asked by people who are trying to figure out how to expend their next investment dollars or expend, you know, resource dollars in a school, in a library, in a nonprofit or something like that. And so they're mystified about how things seem to emerge from the ether and take hold as popular gadgets or popular applications. And so we get asked a lot. And so we thought, heck, why don't we ask the experts? Maybe they'll have a better sense about what might be emerging. We didn't ask the question specifically about specific gadgets or applications or things like that. We asked a broader question, and it was the true shocker of these findings for us. The one element of the tension pair, we said, was hot gadgets and applications that will capture the imagination of users in 2020 are pretty evident today and will not take many of today's savviest innovators by surprise. The other side of that was hot gadgets and apps that will capture the imagination of users in 2020 will often come out of the blue and not have been anticipated by many of today's savviest innovators. 81% of those who are tech experts in our estimation and in sort of every dimension of their credentialing and their role in the world said, we think it's going to come out of the blue. And the themes that emerged from that were just, you know, so interesting. I was stunned by these data. I have confidence in experts, and so I was just shattered by this. But their answers actually made me have more confidence because they made so much sense. The number one sort of theme that recurred and recurred and recurred through the expository answers was the iPhone. If you had asked this question about where is innovation going to come from and can we see it now, if you asked that in 2000, none of us would have predicted the iPhone, right? And the way in which the smartphones are changing people's relationship to information themselves and the apps and stuff like that. So they said, you know, we know that about ourselves, and so we can't possibly see what the sort of stunning thing will be between now and 2020. The other sort of really shrewd point that they made was that the innovation ecosystem itself is going to change so radically that you can't even simulate that environment now and think about what more bandwidth, maybe by orders of 100 improvement, more computing power, more processing power, more pixelation of everything. I mean, it's a completely different world that we'll live in when that wall, as Tim said, might be as vivid an experience of other people and other events as our being physically with each other right here now. So one of the reasons for their diffidence about predicting, saying that they could predict things in the future is they know that the current environment is not the one that will be the reality of 2020. But they did, of course, cite all of many of the things that you guys are thinking about all the time, about the logical things that will emerge from the innovation that's now being talked about. You know, the Internet of Things will have a vastly different, assuming that we get to IPv6, will have a vastly different sort of role. And when the environment is smart, and inanimate things can tell their own stories and be artifacts in our own experiences, you know, that's going to happen. The overlay of the real world and the virtual world of data is just an obvious thing. Sensors will proliferate. Mobile connectivity will proliferate, although there was more uncertainty about this just because of the spectrum problems and the fight over spectrum that everybody anticipates will come. One of the sort of the things that Danny didn't tell everybody today is that the chief science advisor and the chief technology advisor to the White House are PhDs, and one of the reasons they set it up that way is because they know there's going to be an enormous fight with the national security community and even the first responder community, firefighters, police officers, and others, over allocation of spectrum. And they want someone with credibility to be able to argue back that maybe putting out portions of spectrum into the public domain, maybe shifting it to other kinds of sources, won't be a catastrophe for the people who are meant to protect both the nation and our communities. But they deliberately picked scientists in that way so that they could have some standing in the arguments that they knew were going to unfold. Speech recognition will be there, translation systems will be there. Okay. Then we asked the question.